How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. I want to talk to you about what to do in case of a crypto crash. Now, of course, you have to do your own research. You have to know what cryptos you feel strongly about here because I'm going to talk about Bitcoin specifically, but I'll also hit on some other altcoins and what I would do. But we're going to mainly focus on Bitcoin. But whatever you do, you have to have conviction in it. So if you're buying the dip, you need to have conviction because what if it keeps on dipping? So we're going to talk about that, talk about what I will do if we move up too. So if we skyrocket, what I'll do, and if we fall down further, what I'll do. Now, with that being said, we might not see a large crash here again soon. I mean, there is some bullish news, and I covered this earlier today, why in a few days from now, we might see the price of crypto go up, and I'll put that on the end screen if you want to see that. But we just got this piece of news. SEC Commissioner Hester Pierce doesn't understand why a Bitcoin spot ETF hasn't been approved yet, adding the reasoning to deny is outdated. So if we got a spot ETF, or if another big company bought it, or if institutions buy it in the beginning of 2022 because they are underexposed to it, we could definitely see the price move up a lot more before we see another crash. But keep in mind, there is a lot of leverage in the market, and I've been keeping an eye on this. Usually when we have high leverage, we get shaken out, and that's what happened when we were at 56,000. We got shaken out to $49,000 in just a day or 2 days. So we can see a lot of leverage getting shaken out, which is why I think it is important to talk about what I would do in case of a crypto crash. And I'm not trying to spread fear, uncertainty, and doubt or anything like that, but it's something that we have to look at. Now, the last thing I'll say before we get into what I'll do, there is one crypto that's actually doing really well. Only one that is doing well over the last 24 hours in the top 25, and that's Algorand. So I have a small allocation of it. Just want to cover it real quick because I don't really talk about it too often, but they surged as Foundation incentivizes DeFi, and this is just a $3 million fund. So they are going to incentivize people to supply, borrow, and stake Algorand. Now, that's just something that I thought was interesting because we haven't seen Algorand move in a while, but I did notice a good number of people are actually watching an old Algorand video I have, and I'll link that on the end screen also, and I'll link it right above here. But you should definitely check that out at some point just so you have a little bit more background on Algorand. So let's look at what I would do specifically. Now, like I said, we might not see this, and it's going to be dependent on your own situation, what you want to do. But personally, I'm pretty heavily allocated towards crypto already. So that does change a little bit of what I do. But this is what would happen, or what I would do if Bitcoin falls specifically. Now, I have some set aside for Bitcoin and I have some set aside for altcoins. I generally try to put about 40 to 50% of my money that I'm throwing into crypto in Bitcoin specifically. I realize that's not for everyone, but if Bitcoin falls down about 10% or so from here, I would put 10% of my cash in. Now, I'm going to continuously dollar cost average. If we fall down to 46,000, I'm going to add a little bit more, but just the majority of my cash will be sitting on the sidelines. This is cash that I'm waiting to buy the dip with, and then some I get in from being paid on stuff, and I do allocate some towards crypto, just dollar cost averaging overall. So I realize that that's a little bit confusing, but I generally try to add more crypto over time, but I do have some set aside in cash, actually in stablecoin, on something like BlockFi. So there is a link to BlockFi underneath the video. They pay you up to 9.5% on your stablecoin, which is where the majority of my stablecoin is going to be held in these different kinds of interest accounts. So if Bitcoin falls, I'm going to allocate 10% of my cash. So let's say I have $10,000 sitting aside for Bitcoin. I would put $1,000 in it. Then if we fall down to 39,000, I'm going to put another $1,000 in it. So this is not, this is going to be like 10% of the overall amount of cash, then 10% of the original amount, then 15% of the original amount, until 100%. I will put all the money that I have set aside for crypto, specifically Bitcoin, I will put it in if we hit 10,000, which I don't think we will. I don't think we'll ever see anything lower than 30,000, and maybe not even that again. So if we don't get there, then this will just sit in stablecoin, and I'll be happy with getting my 9% over on BlockFi. Now, with the altcoins, it's going to be a little bit different. They probably will fluctuate a lot more, so I'll probably wait to put more in it and then I'll buy more as it falls down more. Now, if Bitcoin pumps, which probably is as likely, probably more likely than it falling this much, I'd say that I'm not going to sell anything at 50, and this might change a little bit, and all of this can change depending on how long it takes, right? If we pump up to $80,000 by next week, I'm probably going to take a little bit off the table, a little bit more than I would if it's 4 months from now. So keep that in mind, and all of this is subject to change, but this is generally, if we just slowly move up, I would not take anything out at 50 or 60 or 70. I realize some people would say, hey, you should take some out before 69,000 because that's where we fell before we fell back down, or that's where we were at before. And I get it, but the thing is, I feel so strongly about Bitcoin for the next 10 years that I don't want to take out anything meaningful at $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 because for me, I have a good amount of money in there, but compared to my income, I still should be allocating more towards it. Of course, my income fluctuates a lot, and some people might have that. Some people might just have a very steady income. But the fact is, where am I going to find another 10x opportunity over the next 5 or 10 years? It's going to be difficult. So I am going to take out small amounts because I don't need the money for anything. So 2% of my overall amount, let's say I have $10,000 worth of Bitcoin, I would take out $200. And then I'm actually going to do something a little bit different. So instead of taking out 3% of that original $10,000 when it hits 90, I'm going to take 3% out of what's left. So 3% of that $9,800, which the $9,800 will go up in value. But what I'm saying is I never want to be without any Bitcoin. I just want to continue to take smaller and smaller Bitcoin amounts out. So if I have 1 Bitcoin, this might be easier. If I have 1 Bitcoin, I would sell 0.02, and then I would sell 3% of that 0.98 that's left. And then I would sell 5% of what's left after that and then continue. So eventually, if we get up to 300,000, how it breaks down is between all these, I know that they add up to 50%, but since I'm taking percentages of percentages, it would end up me selling about 40% of my Bitcoin if we hit 300,000, which at that point, it's all about risk reward. If we got to $300,000, let's say this year, I'd say that there's a good chance that we'll fall back down. That's just how I'm feeling. If we moved up and 6x'd over the next year, I feel like we would definitely fall back down. Maybe it's to 40,000, maybe it's to 100,000. I don't know at this point, and we'll have to see with institutions and companies. But I don't want to get too greedy taking profits out because, again, I think this is a $600,000 to $1 million asset over the coming 10 years. But I also realize that there's a risk reward where I want to take some of the profit out if we move up too quickly. So that's how I'm sitting now. And of course, like I said, it all depends on your personal situation. If you were $10,000 versus $10 million, it's probably going to change your opinion and how you want to take profits out. You can check out the link underneath the video to BlockFi. Now, like I said, I think having cash on the sidelines is really important, but if you don't have any cash, I don't think now is necessarily the best time to take money out of the market. Now, this is not financial advice. I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but if I had no cash sitting around, I would just be working on building more cash. I wouldn't really focus on selling right now because I think crypto will do really well in 2022. So I'd hate for someone to sell like 20% of their portfolio and then just have the portfolio skyrocket over the next year. I would really focus on building up that cash reserve or building up your income generating opportunities and abilities instead. Now, I want to hear your thoughts on this down below. Am I taking out too much? Am I taking out too little? What are you going to do? Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And again, you can check out this Algorand video on the end screen and the video on why I think crypto is going to do really well, maybe starting here in a few days. Thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.